Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
The most important sale is not the first sale. It's the second. Because when you've sold something to someone twice, the chances that they'll buy from you a third time and a fourth time and a fifth time go up exponentially.
Good afternoon, good day, good evening. I don't know what time you're listening or where you're listening from. It's your boy, your host, Ron Tillman, and you are with me for another episode of Walk in Victory. Speaking of victory, walk.
Warning, this is a public service announcement. The Walk in Victory podcast is where we have conversations purposed to evolve lives. You may not want to evolve. Then tune into another bleeping podcast. Everyone else, enjoy the show. And here's our host.
Good afternoon, good day, good evening. I don't know what time you're listening and or where you're listening from, but if you're listening, it's your boy, your host, Ron Tillman, and you are with me for another episode of Walk in Victory. Speaking of victory, give me that bone. My dog is over there. Take it away from me. My dog is over there. You know, this is the real show where we do real things, right? My dog is over there messing with her bone, his bone. And I want to talk about the bone of AI, because a lot of people that I speak with is afraid of the ramifications. So I grew up in a low income area in New York. They used to call the projects. I don't know what they call it now. They might call it low income. They call it low income housing areas, developments, low income housing development. But when I was growing up, they called it the projects. And the project was, I'm going to tell you what the project was, and I'm going to tell you what it translated to be. The project was, if we can take these economical, disingenuous people, place them all together, put them into the same segmented schools, segment the demographics, put the voting lines around them, and allow them to integrate and be amongst themselves, how could we advance the surrounding communities around them? Because we have to do something with them, because they were marginalized and we brought them into this country. This was off the back of the civil rights movement. And this is not by any chance history on all of that stuff. But what happened was, boom, here comes the advent of the war on drugs movement. That particular sector caused the entire world to turn upside down. Fast forward to where we are now, we have the opioid pandemic, which is still a pandemic. Now you add fentanyl and all of these other creative drugs into the mix, along with which they turned from projects, the terms that they turned from projects into low-income housing development areas, where they're not focusing in on, as our counterparts in other countries, the movement of technology, innovation, imagination. What we have done is we turned the cookie cutter and we've segmented, or not segmented, we've changed the curriculum, thinking that if we teach everybody to think alike, then we can start to produce more people that think this way, in without which cut off the imagination. But in the AI era, imagination is important, because when you're prompting the AI, you need to prompt from imagination. So we've created a bunch of people that don't think with the era that they live in. And it's not just in our communities. It's all over. So we have to now have classes that teach prompt engineering, and prompt engineering is broken down into 5 phases. But one of the phases is when you start to articulate what it is that you're imagining. But we've created a bunch of people that can't imagine. So as an artist who grew up as a musician, as a singer, I don't play the piano or instrument or nothing like that, but I create beautiful music. I can blend harmonies. I write and all of those things, and I have the credentials to prove it. As one who has built this platform from nothing into something, has built other industries from nothing, other companies from nothing into something, you understand why. And as a mindfulness yoga, why imagination is important to me. But now with the advent of AI and where it's going, it becomes of the highest importance. So we have these conversations because I want to tap into how can we credibly use our imagination to create anything that we want. But if the imagination has been usurped by cookie cutter industries, our youth doesn't even have. So now we're really going to have to create industries to help youth to tap into their imaginations. When I was young, we played in dirt and made trucks. They don't do that now. We created games like Coco Levia, Freeze Tag, Hide and Go Seek, Manhunt. They don't do that now. But that part of our creative brain helped to produce persons that help in the fabric of creativity. If you listen to all of the industries, if you watch a movie, they dumb down the scripts, they've dumbed down the music, everything is broken down in a regressive way because they don't give credit to the human brain. And you're afraid of AI, and I'll bring in our guest. But I'm imploring you to understand that AI, and for those of you who like who AI, not Anderson, Iverson, not, they called Iverson AI. I'm not talking about the basketball player AI who's retired. You're afraid of AI, but it's not coming to take your jobs. It's coming to expand you to the place where you can't even imagine that you can go. It's coming to take your idea, but you have to start with an imagination. You have to start with an articulation. And it's going to take your imagination, take your articulation to another level where you can now compete with anybody in the world. But if you can't see past the imagination part, then you can't compete. James, how are you?
I am fine. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. So you heard my rant, and I'm sorry. I usually only go for 5 minutes, but I went for 7.5 because I'm passionate about this, James. I'm working on a project, and as I'm dealing and dallying with building my AI agent, um, is getting me excited, but it's also getting me in a downtrodden space because I think that was the conversation centered around AI is a more of a negative one than one that we should be having, which is this can be a real positive thing. You can answer that and then tell our audience about who you are and what it is that you do.
I actually really enjoyed what you had to say. Um, Obviously, a lot of it I can't relate to. It didn't grow up in the same kind of situation, but there's a point of commonality. I graduated from college with a music degree. I spent all of high school and all of college performing in symphony orchestras and on stages, etc. And then I ended up, well, I spent 6 years working in the rock and roll industry. That's another conversation. But then I ended up in marketing and advertising. And you might ask yourself, what does music have to do with marketing and advertising?
Everything.
And everything.
Everything.
And what does it have to do with AI?
Everything.
Well, let me explain where I'm coming from, and I think you're already, from the smile on your face, I think you're getting what I'm talking about. The power of dissonance is
Mm,
what makes music exciting, brings tension,
yeah.
brings it builds. Marketing without dissonance is boring. It won't work. Music and musicians are master listeners. You can't perform music, generally speaking. I mean, if you're a soloist and you're doing something on stage by yourself, that's fine. But even then, you need to be listening to your audience. Musicians listen. And with marketing, you need to listen. You need to listen to who your audience is. And what AI is doing for folks who think about it more holistically, it is giving you tools that allow you to listen to your audience.
Yes.
And I'll give you a quick example. You know what Reddit is,
Mhm.
right? Almost every business out there, there's probably a subreddit that's focused on what it is that they're selling. We've been using AI to analyze the threads in subreddits to give us clear understanding of the challenges that our clients are facing in order to create marketing that's going to be relevant to the journey that the customer is on. Now, previously, you could, of course, do this manually. You could troll manually through the Reddits and read every single one, and it would take hours, and you'd miss stuff and all kinds of things. AI, when it's used as a tool, and this is a good example of imagination as well. I just, why not? So we started doing it, and we got so much amazing insights into what the audience of our clients, what they're really struggling with. And when you create marketing that resonates with where the audience is, that breaks through the noise and it stands out, and it starts to support the journey that they are on, which builds relationship and trust, all kinds of powerful things. And that was all unleashed by the application of AI.
There's two things that you landed on first, and as a musician, as a public speaker who's been in that space for over 30 years, dissonance,
Mhm.
the ability to rest here. So you come from um, more technical background. I grew up. I learned my musical chops in a Pentecostal church. I was trained later in a technical background. So for me, the spontaneity was always there for me because I started out from spontaneity. Where I worked with other musicians who it was like, oh, this is they read the letter, the spontaneity. So when the dissonance came, I would let's go here, and people just trust me, as a director.
Yep.
Uh, in marketing, how do you explain and how were you able to blend those two, uh, being able to still be open to what it is that could be
Right.
and structured to what it is that your discipline allows you to be? Was there a struggle for that for you? And then how did that jump into the market? I mean, to the AI era? Because you're an older gentleman.
Well,
So this would be a different conversation if you were younger, right? But you're an older
mhm.
gentleman, and this market is still fresh, it's still new, and
Yep.
yeah. So and you got the floor.
It, in my head, I'm still 49. So
And I'm 49, so welcome to the club.
there you go. Um, Let me think. How can I answer this?
At the time.
Listening and dissonance is an interesting concept. Let me give you an example from my
Okay.
past.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
I worked at an agency that was working with the Toyota dealers in Northern California. And this was in the era when Toyota was relaunching the Prius. If you remember that they had that old boxy model that was the original thing, and then they launched this teardrop shaped car. Every other market in the country went out there and launched the car as good for the environment and, because it was a hybrid, right? We didn't do that. We listened carefully to the audience, and we got a lot of flack for this. It was a really dissonant thing to do, but we listened to the audience, and we launched the Prius in Northern California as an economical family car because it was a hybrid. Okay.
Instead of the hybrid,
We sold
because it
more.
was economically friendly.
Yeah. We sold more Priuses in Northern California than the rest of the country combined.
Did you lead that campaign?
No, I did not lead it. I was on the team.
Okay.
It was one of the, it was developed by the agency in its totality. But yeah, no, it's a good example of, listening to your audience and understanding what they're looking for. The assumption we were making was that the early adopters, the people who were passionate about the environment, they probably already had a Prius. They didn't need to be sold. But the early majority, the young family with just starting out, the 2 kids and concerned about their bills and all the rest of these, that's a different audience. And by listening carefully to what they were looking for, we were able to launch this car into a market. And the hybrid stopped being the benefit and started being the reason to believe.
Yeah.
And it was extremely successful. And it's a good example of what we've been talking about.
So in a model of AI and what you're doing now, as we're listening to what the community is saying, and I had to actually go onto my link, change my conversation points, because one of my points was not before the end of 2024 having conversations centered around AI. I'm working on a project for thought leaders like myself, giving them a pocket, personal time management, funnels, everything that AI, I'm building the agent that AI is going to help them become a brand leader. But I listen to what I'm personally going through, right? When you're trying to do a podcast, trying to coach people, it's so many tasks. I can't afford to hire somebody, so I spend a lot of time editing videos. I spend a lot of time. But if I had something that can help me to get through the weed of the day, not weed for those of you listening who's smoking it, but the weeds of the day, which is the thing that helps, that hinders us from getting to the money of the day. They're both green,
Right.
but in order for me to sustain, I have to make money. How have you been able to see from a marketer into what you're doing now as someone who's a thought leader in AI and all of the things that you've encountered? How have you been able to navigate through those bushes, through those weeds, through those thorns and thistles to still be able to say, here's the clarity, here's the dissidence, here's the rest?
Right. I always start with what's the problem I'm trying to solve.
Mm.
And I don't start with how can I make AI work for me. I start with what's the problem I'm trying to solve. And I'll give you an example. Our business designs and builds websites for small business owners. One of the things that separates a professionally designed website from an amateur website is how color is used. And there's an idea, it's actually out of the interior design industry, called the 60-30-10 color strategy, where 60% of your colors are background colors, 30% are your primary and secondary colors, and 10% is the accent color. This is why there's a red pillow on the sofa, right? We use the same philosophy and the same strategy when we're thinking about color for a website design. But my content specialists, who are generally stay-at-home spouses who do this part-time, they're not designers. So I used an AI, ChatGPT in this particular case, and I built a prompt that would take one color and, using the 60-30-10 strategy, generate a color palette that my content specialist could use to design a website for a small business owner.
Mm.
It was it as good as a professional designer could do? No, probably not. Was it better than 90% of what amateurs are doing? Absolutely, yes. So I started with the problem. How do I help my content specialists, who are not trained designers, use this tool set when they're building a website? And then I applied AI to that problem. It took about a month back and forth. I'd generate color palettes. I'd send them off to past colleagues who were professional designers, people who'd worked for big brands, and still, I mean, it amazes my wife. All these people I've worked with in the past, they like me, and they help. And so they'd give me feedback, and I'd use the feedback to refine the prompt a little bit more. Part-time here and there, didn't do it concentrated, but it took about a month. But it works really well. It works so well, I had one of our developers turn it into a WordPress plugin, and it's now available in the WordPress repository.
Yes.
That's an application that, start with the problem and then figure out how you can use AI, if AI is even appropriate.
Yeah. So that's the thing, right? We all say in any business, start with the problem. When I'm sitting down with a fellow business owner, a lot of times they don't take the time to figure out what the problem is.
Right.
Take me on your journey when you started to figure out that the problem was the key to success. What was going on with you when you started to say, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm not going to work for anybody else. This is what I'm going to do. And not only that, I'm going to be a thought leader in these industries, whether it's marketing, whether it's um, art of AI, or whatever it is, because I can see the problem. And how did you work that
Mm-hmm.
muscle?
Well, I tell you, I was at the point where I wanted to get out of the big agency world, and I had an opportunity to buy a vendor. And it was a vendor that, they were a production studio. They, built banner ads and emails and websites, and they did all sorts of digital production. And the owner, who was a good, I'd been working with them for years, and he wanted to do other things. So we worked it out. And when I look at my background, which is in marketing strategy, building large campaigns for 9-figure budgets, that kind of thing. And when I look at websites, the most common problem I see with websites is not the design, it's not the copy, not any of those things. The most common problem I see is an absence of strategy. So, how do I bring my strength in being able to see the strategy, being able to see the pathway that the brand should be following to really resonate and generate traction with their audience? And how can I apply that to website design and development? So for me, that was what separated. And when you think about it, of course, you can't swing a dead cat on a street corner and not hit a web designer, right? Everybody comes and
Everybody's a
do
web designer.
this.
Everybody's a coach.
Yeah, everybody. Question is not can they do it? It's technically not that hard. The question is, should they do it?
So that leads me to, and I'm glad that you said that. So one of the components in my AI agency course, so I'm doing educate first. I want to educate people on funneling, and this is going to lead me to, because you're talking about website design as
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Specific. But can you explain to our audience the difference between web design, funneling, and landing pages? Because what I think that sometimes, because we have things like quick funnels and click funnels and this funnel and that, people, they're not really
Lead
taking the time to
pages.
educate the people on the difference between the three and the brand synergy that needs to be. If you're over here and you're looking green and yellow, you shouldn't be over here looking purple and gold.
Right. And that's another reason why that's why I created a product called Innately.
See, here we
We do
go.
large corporate websites, right? Big companies, 7 figures in traffic every month, kind of thing. Most small business owners couldn't afford to work with us, so we tried to create a product that would allow them to work with us. And I'm 99% sure I had a point I was going for here.
We're talking about landing pages. Landing pages.
Landing pages, right. So one of the frustrations that I had with these small business owners is they kept being sold stuff they didn't need.
Yes.
99% of all of these islands can be replaced with a well-built website. A landing page is just that. It is a page inside your website where people are landing, usually as the result of some sort of marketing activity. A funnel, a marketing funnel, which is not the same as a sales funnel. A marketing funnel is the marketing process that you develop that is designed to attract people who are just getting into the market, build a relationship and trust through the creation of microtransactions in the mid funnel, and then give them the answers to their questions. Your goal here is that the sale is the next logical step in their journey, that they don't feel like they've been tricked into something, that they feel like this is the best solution for me. And you've earned that trust through the relationship. So the website is where it functions as the hub inside your marketing program. All of your content is generated out from the website, and all of your audience is coming into the website. The media channels that you're using are the spokes. And
Mm.
then the content and messaging strategy that you've developed is the rim that holds it all together. Because, a hub and spokes by themselves don't
Nothing.
have much value.
No value at all.
No value at all. You take the content and messaging strategy, and that's your rim. That's what holds it all together. And you have something that's powerful because the power comes from the connections, not from the individual things. So your website functions as the hub in your digital marketing, in your online presence. Landing pages are usually, things that are the result of marketing activity. There's very different design principles are used, but there's sub pages inside your website.
So for me, and we're gonna jump back into AI because this is how AI can help people who don't understand these technical nuances. I click on all sales ads. I've been doing digital marketing for a long time, and I'm looking to see what people are doing. What I've seen in the last 3 years, and it just really recently started happening post COVID because I think people was at home just buying stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They're no longer using the lead magnet. They're going straight to the sell and then upsell. And
Right.
and it feels seedy to me. But I want to go, I want
Mm-hmm.
to see how far they go. So they're not giving anything free. They're just going to the sell, a low end sell. Then they're saying, as you're purchasing, even if you like the product, they're giving the content on a landing page is great. They're giving you a good, oh, and wait, there's more, and wait, there's more, and
Yeah.
when you leave, there's like, oh wait, we can give you 10% off. So they got all of that part down, but what they missed is the connectivity. So for me, coming in
Right.
with a someone who I did my digital certification, my digital marketing certification through digital marketer with Ryan Dice and those guys. I have several. I went through several of their
Mm-hmm.
programs. So I'm like, yeah, but they're not hooking. They're not. There's no email. There's no. It's just sell, 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 and then it becomes, oh, but before you do this, oh, upsell, and oh wait, no, now the price drop. Oh, because no, and it feels sleazy. How do we leverage AI to help us to really curate a proper funnel that won't make people feel like they're waking up in the middle of the night from indigestion and they're buying something that they don't need? Because you don't want to
Right.
be connected to that brand identity.
Again, like we were talking about earlier, AI is a tool, and you can use the tool in lots of different ways. The first thing you need to do is define what the problem is.
Mm,
And if you're not willing to abandon the I call it bro marketing, the bro marketing thing, that's fine. More power to you. But there's an old adage in marketing. The most important sale is not the first sale. It's the second. Because when you've sold something to someone twice, the chances that they'll buy from you a third time and a fourth time and a fifth time go up exponentially. You're not going to get that second sale if you've tricked somebody into buying something.
oh, that's an amazing point. Explain to the audience the difference between a trip wire and a trick wire. Because nobody, you're the first one that ever really brought that to light in these conversations.
Well, I'll tell you, the if you think about it from, I like to say, stop being inside out. Stop being the marketer who's standing on his rooftop shouting at the world at large about how awesome they are,
Mm,
and start getting some empathy. This pulls us back to our original conversation about music. Musicians are empathetic.
yes.
They hear, they feel what the audience is looking
They're looking
for,
for
what the
one
other
moment.
musicians are doing.
One moment.
You need to be an empathetic marketer and put yourself
Mm.
in the shoes of your audience. Where are they in their journey? How are they looking at the marketplace? What are the questions that they are asking? What are the obstacles they are trying to overcome in their minds? Every consumer goes through a journey every single time that they make a purchase. It can happen really quickly, it can happen take months, but they go through that journey. And the way we're using AI for this is there's two concepts. You've probably heard about the customer avatar,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's pretty common knowledge. And a lot of people, they have an avatar. Sometimes it's called a buyer's persona. But there's two sides to that coin. The other side of that coin is the buyer's journey map. That's where you map what's going on in the buyer's mind at each stage of their journey. From I am not interested at all, something happened in my life that caused my fridge stopped working or started leaking. So suddenly I need to figure out the fridge, your sort of early mid funnel, your consideration, research, trying to figure this out. Lower mid funnel where you're prospecting and trying to make a decision between choices, and then the decision process where is am I getting value for money here? What are the benefits to me? Practical benefits, emotional benefits, those sorts of things. Mapping that journey gives you the insights to create communication that supports the journey that the buyer is on and builds trust and builds relationship throughout the process. Wherever they want to intersect with you, you're there and you've crafted your marketing appropriately.
And what's that called again? I'm
When
taking notes.
the, the the buyer's journey map.
All right, good. All right.
And so what we've done is we've created a product called Marketing Sage Advantage. And what this does is
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
we ask clients to interview 6 to 10 of their existing customers, and we give them an interview guide. And we use the transcripts from those interviews and the AI model that we've built to analyze those conversations, and it generates a really robust and accurate customer avatar, and it generates a really robust and accurate map of the buyer's journey. Then we'll take a tool like that and we'll go into like a subreddit, for example, and we'll find out what are the real words that people are using when they're asking these questions. Right? And that, when I was doing big budget brands, typically it might cost us 50 grand to do a study like that because focus groups and quantitative research, and that's out of reach for a lot of smaller businesses. Now we can do this for a few $1,000s.
Yeah. And
it becomes that's with the application of AI to. Now, is it as good as my friend Susan, who charges 50 grand to do this? She just did one for Wells Fargo. Probably not. But is it 1,000% better than doing nothing at all? Absolutely.
So, but let's pin that right there. If I come to Susan, who's charging 50 grand, and I say, Susan, I met you halfway there. Do you think that if after she say, let me look at what you have, and I'll come back to you, her number might come down? I'm not trying to put Susan on the spot, but just from that negotiating standpoint, Susan, look, we're not here with the big boys, but we've done our due diligence, and we need you to help us take us to the next level. How do you think that sets for a smaller business, you leveraging AI to put them into the perspective of the big boys, the big boy brands?
Well, that's actually a great question. And when we built the AI model that does this work, I mean, my friend Susan helped us do it. So we're drawing, her brain contributed to the model. My brain contributed to the model. We pulled in articles and all sorts of different source material around this. The psychology, Cialdini's persuasion, for example. We brought in all kinds of source material into the model that an average business owner is not going to be able to get access to this kind of information, nor are they going to know how to organize it so that it will generate the result that you're looking for. So you do 6 to 10 phone calls with clients that you record, follow the interview guide, give us the recordings, and we will generate avatars and journey maps that you can then hand to your digital marketing agency and say, stop making pretty noise and start making marketing that actually will help people.
So I'm in the process of creating the digital aspect that will take what you guys do, and I have my agents that will look at the roadmap if the person to help them develop that map, not in that intricate format that you do, because I don't have that leverage of information, but help them to journey their customer journey from the point of entry, from lead magnet down the funnel into long tail, set pricing at each level. But not only that, distinguish, go up, boy. Distinguish how to leverage email marketing, segmented the email marketing, release those people that are not responding, automate it so that they don't have to hire someone else to answer the phone or do those things that help on a daily basis. So you're helping someone at the high end of the spectrum, which I've never been able to amass to. And I'm comfortable with saying that that's not my level of expertise, but I'm able to help somebody in my level of expertise, all with the advent of AI. How do you see, my last question, AI moving things forward? Because when we look at the news and we look at the pundits, they're making a doom and gloom thing of it. We've been able to leverage the technology to say, hey, we don't have to hire somebody else to do these interviews. AI can do it for us.
Right. Or do the analysis, or do the and anything like your executional bots are going to do a better job if they've got this kind of information, if they know who they're. I'll give you an example that from one of the things that we're doing, and it's working really well. You're familiar with a software called ManyChat? Okay. ManyChat allows people to do direct message conversations with a brand, and ManyChat has kind of a rudimentary AI, but it's very rudimentary. It's very simple, and it's all very static. What we've done is we've connected via ManyChat's API. We've connected the chat sequence to an AI assistant that has been trained in the knowledge base from the client. So then the question comes in the DM. ManyChat sends the question off to the AI assistant. The AI assistant crafts the answer, sends it back to ManyChat, and ManyChat presents it back to the audience. And what we're ending up with is long and involved conversations that the consumers tell us they didn't realize they were talking to a chatbot.
Yeah. So, and also for those of you who are listening, ManyChat now, so one of the older models like IG, you have to have a certain amount of followers. I have two Instagram accounts. I have two Instagram accounts. One has 500. Other one I'm building up just solely on Walking Victory is 300 and something. So I don't have links to my account because you have to get a certain amount of followers in order to get links. If I didn't separate my account, but I don't like to do that to my audience. I always like to segment my audiences so I can know what my audience want to hear. 2, ManyChat or MiniChat, however you want, allows you to would allow me to say, hey, hit send me a message. I can give it a word or a phrase, and it will engage with them, so they won't have to go to my story. They don't have to go, and then I'll bring them into what we call a funnel or engagement. And in that level of engagement that James is talking about happens after someone takes a move. So what I'm telling you, don't be afraid of AI. If you're a small business owner, you're building your agency, you're coaching, embrace it, get the coaching. There's going to be a new level of coaching. And this is the last question for you. I have another interview in like 10 more minutes. My last question for you. No, I got 2 more questions. The importance of getting the AI agent now on AI coach on top of all the other coaches. How important is this new movement of coaching that's going to transpire as the AI agents or agencies continue to develop and this model of AI continues to build and unfold?
I don't know the answer to that question.
I love your candor.
It's an interesting concept, but I think time will tell how this thing works out. In my experience, having been through when I started, the fax machine didn't exist, email didn't exist, the internet didn't exist, none of that stuff existed. We needed to have a meeting with the client. We drove to the client's offices. There was the day I tripped going up the stairs with an armful of presentation acetates that spilled across the floor, and I learned the power of page numbers.
No, but it's real.
um,
It's real. That's a real thing.
but things evolve and change, and I'm a huge proponent of the idea of, if something is creating value, it will continue to prosper.
Mm,
If it's not creating value, it's going to wither. And the new shiny things don't necessarily
great value.
create value.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Now, some of them might, and if they do, they will likely prosper. Everything that we do with AI, it's always with that fundamental foundation idea. Is this letting us bring more value to our clients? And if it doesn't, if I can't answer the question, yes, it is, then we don't do it.
My next guess is behind the scenes. My last question for you. Usually I ask what books influence you, what books are you reading. I'm not going to ask that. What I'm going to ask you, I'm 49 going on 50, standing on the dawn of a new day with technology. What keeps you going, keeping up with technology, keeping up with the industry, keeping up with the pace? Because you could retire. You could say, I'm done. You're only 32 years old, but you've been around long enough to
I still get great joy and satisfaction out of helping business owners be successful with marketing.
Hmm.
There's so many people out there. I'll give one of my clients that we're working with right now. He has a stone ground flour mill, and the product he produces is superior.
Yeah.
It's organic, it's stone ground, it's got a higher level of nutrition, all kinds
And
of
it helps them to
positive
get that
things.
word out. Yeah.
I did some analysis of the marketplace for him. Online organic flour sales are over $200 million a year
Get the hell out of
in the
here.
United
You
States.
serious?
I'm serious. Now, you've got a real marketplace with real demand, and you've got an excellent product, and he's selling $650 a month.
Oh no.
What's missing?
You.
Exactly. Marketing is what's missing. They are two of the nicest. They're a husband and wife couple. They are two of the
I bet
nicest
you
people you're ever going to want to meet. They have got the marketing skills of a 2x4.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
I
got it.
so we're stepping in and we're providing the marketing support for them to bring this up, and we're doing it on we have a lot of confidence in what we can do. We're doing it on a percentage of sales basis. If we're not successful, we don't get paid.
Well,
But I'm doing it because there is real market and they have an excellent product.
well, there you have it, everybody. I told you. We have conversation that evolves the mind, helps you cultivate, helps you to think outside of the box. No tradition can box you in. You know where I come from. You know where I am right now. And I don't brag about what I've done because I haven't done nothing. All I did was apply the knowledge that somebody else shared with me, as James shared with us today. We sit you at the feet of the masters. We don't ask you for cash apps, Venmos, or any of those things. I'm not begging you for likes or subscriptions. You can listen to take the information if you want to or not. But what I do ask for those of you who are listening is that you hit like, share, and subscribe. It helps our message get to the masses because someone needs to hear this story. You're not too young, you're not too old, and technology, and especially in this AI advent, is right there at the fingertips. Go on and walk in victory. Don't make excuses. Don't be like a 2x4. Hold your head up high. Like the Tin Man, loosen up them limbs and walk in victory. Enjoy the rest of your day. Peace. Thank you. Thanks.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.